on Channel Africa.
We're celebrating incredible people doing incredible things from Africa, but in particular from Lesotho. We love Basotho.
Speaking of the Basotho, from the blankets to the runway, the story is in their cultural wear. And this particular person, who is absolutely so hot, like the Basotho people, is doing incredible work within the fashion industry, representing them. Thabo Makhetha, who's an award-winning designer and founder of Thabo Makhetha. Thabo, thank you so much for joining us on The Upside. Listen, we had the absolute pleasure of meeting you, talking to you, and we're so excited to bring you here because we felt that let's put on amazing women who are leading in fashion. Let's talk about your history within the fashion industry and where this all began.
Hi, Poppy and Ntsako. It is such a pleasure to be here with you on this day. It is really exciting to represent women on the African continent, especially in the fashion space, showcasing my heritage, my culture. I see you looking at beautiful views of Lesotho, the country, the views, the land, and just from coming from what some consider a small country, but being able to make such an impact internationally and globally, telling the story of the Basotho people.
So chat to us about the fashion scene in Lesotho and why we should be paying attention to it, because I think we've seen enough to know that there is something happening, and you guys are super talented. So for those of us who don't know what the fashion scene like is in Lesotho, give us a glimpse or chat to us what it's like.
The fashion scene in Lesotho is quite exciting. I think there's a lot of stories being pulled from different parts. A lot of people know me for telling the story of the Basotho blankets.
Sure.
But there's a lot more to the heritage, to the culture, the stories of the horsemen. If you go down to Sumongong, it's different than you going to Guting and different spaces and areas. So just seeing the different type of conversations that come out through clothing, through the interpretation, through the storytelling. One thing that's very strong with Lesotho as well is textile and manufacturing. So not just the design aspect of the industry, but also the background of the industry where we are still producing, we're still growing jobs and growing that space. And just looking at that story of how the SADC region also supports one another through design and textile and manufacturing as an entire system. So I think Lesotho is going to grow quite quickly because they're looking at fashion, the entire economy of it, not just the design aspect and presentation aspect of it.
So I feel like it's important for us to discuss maybe the modernizing of traditional clothes, because this is a conversation we were having 2 days ago on end. We were talking about how far does it go with, our traditional clothes and whether it's being modernized. And it was a huge chat considering all the traditional events happening. How do you keep kind of like a base point or like a middle point or middle ground with modernizing it, but also still keeping to your culture? Because I feel like it's also a fine line between the two.
I think honestly it's open to interpretation. I think at the end of the day, what we are doing, culture has always been about storytelling. So what story is unique to you? Because if you look at brands like Louis Vuitton, I'm sure you just saw what happened with the Chinese tea company and the lawsuit for what is culturally and historically belonging to the Asian and Chinese culture. But people love the Louis Vuitton story and will support that Louis Vuitton storytelling. So I think heritage and culture, it depends on authenticity. What does that look like to you? Do you want to tell your own story, or you want to tell a story of you've made it, you're up there? Because you can tell both stories, it's your interpretation. So me as a designer, I think I know where my line is, but as a consumer, that's where now different conversations, different designers interpret culture, and that is then for the consumer to interpret, and then you belong to that thought process or you don't.
Chat to us, Thabo, about how our fashion is being, received on the global stage from your experience, because we've seen the Maxhosas of this world, but you're also a woman navigating this space. So I want to know what reception you've received and what people are telling you about the stuff that you're making and putting out there as a young woman in Africa.
For myself, I started the brand back in 2009, and I've always had the strong belief that if you use culture in any garment, it remains timeless. And I think I've watched a lot of designers also come up telling the African stories, telling their cultural stories, telling the wider diaspora story. And I think the world is hungry and the world is interested for our stories. And the more we tell it collectively, then again, I'm about the economics of it. I mean, if we're going to be famous and out there not making money, we're not growing our industry. It's a nice show and tell. Then your bigger brands will continue making money from us. As a woman navigating the space, I think, to be honest, I never realized, there are similarities to corporate, being a mother, having two children, biological clocks that come into play, expectations that aren't met, motherhood, work. It has its challenges. And I think that's also what's unique about being a woman. We like to build sisterhoods that support. And coming from the Basotho culture as well, I think I have loved to have seen over the years how we actually pushing the space as a group, navigating as Basotho together internationally as well. I mean, just now in Berlin, Morena Leraba was performing, and there was a beautiful showcase of South African heritage and also different designers that also get to be on that platform, and creatives from Lesotho and from, I will call the Basotho, diaspora as well.
And how are you guys protecting your designs? I think IP is one of the most important things in the fashion industry. How have you guys managed to protect, your designs and for them not to be replicated?
I think I've come to a point in my life where I think that is impossible.
I don't like that answer.
I
We heard the resignation in your
I
voice.
I'm sorry. I've had this story of like appropriation of culture since Basotho, since Louis Vuitton. That's why I don't mind saying Louis Vuitton by name, because we know their story and what they keep doing. And the thing is that, again, I mean, China just lost the whole legal battle to Louis Vuitton over what is actually their cultural right. It's a case of staying ahead of it. And I think for me, that's what I learned in my career, because we went the lawyer's route. We went on social media, and social media actually helped more in terms of proving copy, and people's opinions matter, and it's more damaging than we behind in the court and nobody sees all the phone calls I'm making and the stress because you stole my design. So for me, I've just learned you have to keep ahead of it. You have to keep telling the stories. I'm not the only one who gets affected.
Sure.
I've heard horror stories from young designers coming up. Something as simple as taking your work, saying you're going to charge X amount. I pay you what I said I charged, but you learn from someone else you charged 4 times the price. That's disrespectful.
Completely.
You're giving me a platform, but that's disrespectful. So I mean, we ever learning. We always have to be quick on our feet and navigate the space. But yes, when it comes to protection, you have to build your tribe. You have to build your people. They're the ones that defend you. They're the ones that are going to make sure that their money still goes back to build what you're trying to build, regardless of imitations that come up, because they'll disappear again.
Where do we get a hold of your designs?
So you can get a hold of my designs online, www.thabomakhetha.com. The 1st of September, Africa Rise at Melrose Arch will be opening up. So be sure to find some of our gorgeous items there. I hope I was supposed to announce that, but yes, Africa Rise with that.
You were supposed to. We have plans now. We have outfits.
Please, and if you're in Johannesburg, we've got a Bara store, Newtown Junction Mall. Cape Town, you've got Woodstock. We're here at Maiden RSA, as well as Loop Street number 16, the Boardroom. So we are all around the country, or we will get to you. thabomakhetha.com.
We are such massive fans. Continue doing what you do, because we are coming to buy your designs, ma'am. Thabo Makhetha, award-winning designer and founder of Thabo Makhetha, right here on The Upside on Channel Africa. What a great story, man.
She is on it,
honey. Yo, we are so inspired. 4:30 right here on Channel Africa. Let's get a sports update. Icon, what you got?